All right, so first things first, to make a lamp, I'm going to show you guys how to make a lamp shade first, because that's like 90% of what you see when you see a lamp. So what you want to do is you want to start off with a cylinder. Now, some people might be like, oh, that's good enough. There's a lampshade. And there is lampshades that are just cylinders, especially like 70s and like Art Deco lamps and like, some 80s style lampshades. But I'm going to give you the traditional shape of a lampshade. So what I need to do, guys, is I need to switch to edge mode. So if you right click and hold, you go to edge mode. So again, just right click and hold edge mode. Now, what I need to do is I need to select the edges on the bottom. So if you click one, and you can hold shift and just keep selecting all the edges. And you can let go. Just make sure you hold shift again before you click. If on accident you click off of it, and you're like, oh no, just press Z. So if you ever make a mistake like that, just press Z. You can always go back. So I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to keep selecting all the edges here. If you select the wrong edge like that on accident, just hold shift and deselect it. So just make sure that you only have the edges selected around the bottom of what we're going to make into a lampshade. So what we do next, after we have all the edges selected, is we're going to press R for the scale tool. And with the scale tool, you can pull from that middle box to the right, and now you're starting to get that lampshade's shape that you want. So again, you can, depending on like how big lampshade you want, it's up to you. But you just pull from that middle box to the right or left if you need to shrink it to get the lampshade shape you want. Now, some of you guys might be just happy with that. You might be like, okay, that's good, and then put a cylinder in and call that a day. But just like we did on the toy box, we can hollow this out, and we can hollow this out to make it look more realistic. So we can right click and hold and go to face mode. And we're going to use the same technique as we did to hollow out the box. So again, you're going to hold shift, and you're going to select all these bottom faces. And again, on accident, if you select a face like this, just hold shift to deselect it. And again, Z is your best friend. If you make a mistake, you can always go back. So we have all the faces selected. If you guys remember how to extrude, you just hold shift, and you can pull from that middle box inward, and you'll see that it equally extrudes new faces. So again, holding shift. And again, when you hold shift, it should say extrude. It should pop up right over the box that you're about to pull. So again, holding shift, I'm going to extrude inward. And then I'm going to press W, and I'm going to hold shift again and pull upward. So you guys now have a nice ring around the edge. Now the difference really between the box and this is you can press backspace now to erase the faces. So you got your ring made and you're good. So we're going to do the same thing again up top. Holding shift, I'm going to select all the faces. And press R for scale tool. Hold shift, pull to the left. Press W, hold shift, pull down. And again, sometimes you'll select faces on accident. Like I selected some other faces, so I'm going to go Z, Z, Z. I made a mistake when I was selecting these at one point, and I extruded them. So here we go again. I'm going to do it again. If your arrows get in the way and you can't pick stuff, you guys can always shrink your arrows with your plus or minus key. So you can always make these bigger or smaller. So if they're getting in your way, just shrink them until you don't need them. And then when you need them, you can hit the plus sign and make them big again. So again, I'm going to press R, hold shift, pull inward, press W, hold shift, pull downward, and then I'm going to press backspace. And now I got a nice hollow. Oh, I went too far back down here. I unerased it. So now I got a nice hollow Oh, I must have selected that. There we go. Oh my goodness, guys. All right. So now I have a nice hollow, and I can go back to object mode, and you can still shrink this or make this bigger. So there's the lamp shade. Now if I want to make a vase for it, like I said, some of you guys might want to just use a cylinder, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to duplicate my cylinder, shrink it, duplicate my cylinder again, shrink it again, and you might be happy with like a lamp like this. But I'm going to show you guys how to make a really cool lamp. So if you start off with a cube, we're going to do the same thing as we did multiple times now, like on the toy box, or also on here. We're going to extrude the faces. So I'm going to go on the top one. I'm going to press R, hold shift, extrude inward. But instead of going down to make an empty box like we've been doing, we're actually going to go up. So instead of pulling down when I'm extruding, I'm going to extrude up. I'm going to press R again, extrude out, press W, extrude up. I'm going to press R again, hold shift, extrude inward, press W, extrude up. Now watch, if I press 3, this is what my object looks smooth. And then I can go to the bottom and do the same thing, hold shift, press R, extrude, boom. I can flatten it. I can do the same thing, hold shift, extrude, boom. Now you guys can just take another cylinder or another shape, and you can make like the little candlestick part of a light to go inside here. And of course, you can make a bulb. You can just take a sphere. And you can also always make buttons, like you know how you can turn it off and on. You can just take one of these cylinders, make it really thin, small. Bless you. You can always hold shift, extrude again, and duplicate, and now you got a button. So again, you can spend your time, put all the detail you want into this, but essentially you got a nice cool vase. Now to lock in this shape, because right now I'm only in smooth mode, I'm not actually in smooth, you just go mesh smooth and it'll lock in that shape that you extruded.